Peace is not a fixed state. It is a constant negotiation between what humanity could be and what it is. What preserves peace? Is it the belief that humans can rise above conflict, or is it the acceptance that conflict is inevitable? As Scott Adams writes in his book Loser Think, people were selfish, brutal, and violent in the past, so we can reasonably expect more of that in the future. This assumption, that is the unchanged human nature, feels both accurate and useful, and it sets a stage for a deeper tension. What follows is a delicate collision between vision and power, framed within two intersecting continuums that ask us a defining question. What happens when your worldview determines the peace we pursue and the threats we prepare for? I'm an idealist. I believe nations and the people within them are fundamentally capable of cooperation. Shared values and shared norms can promote peace. International institutions can restrain conflict. And even when conflict does arise, dialogue and perhaps moral persuasion can prevent escalation. But realism, on the other hand, forces a harder truth into view. Conflict is woven into both human nature and the systems we as humans build. Individuals and institutions act out of self-interest. Let's accept that. History shows that some form of strength, whether political, economic, or military, is essential for survival. The takeaway here is trust is fragile. Deterrence, by comparison, is reliable. If we look at deterrence versus diplomacy, deterrence, the use of strength, whether real or perceived, takes many forms. Military force is only one dimension. Power can be economic, cyber, or nuclear. In a world shaped by mutual assured destruction, even nuclear power functions more as a psychological deterrent rather than a battlefield tool. Phrases like peace through strength, or if they fear the consequences, they won't act. These statements feel intuitively correct. Diplomacy, by contrast, seeks to prevent conflict through relationship building, dialogue, and mutual agreement. The tools of diplomacy include treaties, alliances, negotiations, and cultural and economic cooperation. And yet statements like peace through understanding and if they feel heard, we can find a common ground also feel true. This tension leads us to four distinct philosophies of peace and power. First, there's idealistic deterrence. It holds that idealistic goals must be protected through credible strategic strength. You have to provide a safe space for cooperation to flourish. Idealistic diplomacy assumes that norms, trust, and moral persuasion are enough to avoid conflict. The idea here is that harmony emerges through some set of shared values. There's also realistic diplomacy. This area uses dialogue not out of faith in cooperation, but really as a tool to buy time, reduce costs, and shift power. The dialogue here in this quadrant is more about being a tactic, not a belief. And lastly, we have realistic deterrence. Frames force or a threat of force as the fundamental backbone of peace, where everyone believes that power ensures survival. But there's an emergent paradox when we look at these intersections. For example, deterrence requires credibility. Diplomacy requires trust. Yet credibility and trust oftentimes can undermine one another. Let me tell you, too much deterrence erodes trust. Too much trust will erode credibility. Leaders are therefore pushed into a narrow, unstable space, a delicate collision, where peace depends on the ability to prepare for both cooperation and conflict at the same time. This leads us to the Fermi Paradox. The Fermi Paradox asks why, in a universe filled with billions and billions of stars, older than our own, no extraterrestrial civilization has ever reached out to us. One haunting answer is called the Great Filter. The idea that every civilization eventually destroys itself before achieving interstellar travel. If this is true, the silence of the cosmos is not evidence of our uniqueness as a species, but it's really a warning. We may be hearing the echoes of countless worlds that rose, advanced, and then vanished before they ever could say hello. This delicate collision, the perpetual balancing of strength and understanding, realism and idealism, may be the very thing that determines whether humanity survives long enough to reach the stars. I believe we will, but only if we continue to navigate the spaces between these intersections with awareness, humility, and intention. Humanity will reach the stars, not because we avoid this tension, but because we have learned to live within it. Now, assuming that you're part of the human race, then I have to ask you, what part of that balance do you feel responsible for? And can you do something about it? I'd love to hear your comments. Consider hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. And why not share this video with a friend? It's the best way to let YouTube know others like you will enjoy this video. Please consider buying us a cup of coffee in the link in the description below. Your support means everything. And as always, thanks for watching.